I ran marketing departments in corporate America for 10 years and then ran a digital agency for over another 10 years. So I know the roadmap to online success, and that formula always includes producing content to share your message, from your marketing message to sales and delivery. Hi, I'm Jennifer Neal, and you're listening to the Content Toolbox. I believe the secret to finding and creating raving fans online is through you. In building relationships through stories that share who you really are, create genuine, crazy, raving fans that keep begging you to take their money. And on this podcast, we'll be talking strategies, tactics, tips, and more with myself and other industry experts. So buckle up and start your engines, because it's go time. All right, welcome everybody to another episode of the Content Toolbox. I am super happy to introduce you to a good friend of mine today. I've talked before about our happy hour group. Cheri is one of the original founders of the happy hour group. So I'm super happy to introduce you to my good friend here, Miss Cheri.
Hi guys, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Jen, for having me. I'm really excited to chat with you today.
Awesome. Thanks. All right. So I know a little bit about your background, and we've had, as we were just talking, like various different kinds of conversations, but tell us a little bit about who you are and kind of how you got involved in the business world.
Sure. So I've actually been an entrepreneur for over 21 years now. My entrepreneurial career can officially drink.
I love that.
My husband and I we started a photography business, and we would travel all over the United States photographing families for employers. So like a hospital would give away 10 by 13s to all their staff as an appreciation. And there we would be taking the pictures. And then of course, hey, you took these, would you like to buy some more? So that's how we got started.
Awesome.
Which was super fun. I mean, we got to travel all over. We got to meet all kinds of people. But then once we had our son, my husband was then traveling by himself, so he'd be gone for months at a time. So then we decided we were going to bridge onto this whole online business thing. We were so excited, make money while you sleep, learn while you earn. We bought into all of the cliches, right? And we just failed so hard. And we went all in. We are not kind of like a little bit kind of people. We're extreme. So we quit the photography business. We started doing 16-hour days, and we were actually in this multi-level marketing company. I couldn't sell a blog to my grandma. Like nobody would buy my blog. We were just thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in debt, no money coming in, both of us avoiding the whole, maybe we should just get one of those JOB things. But neither one of us wanted to real bad. So we're like, we can make this work. We see other people doing it. It's possible. And we were actually introduced to this other MLM right at the end. I had little tiny bits of credit card left across like 6 credit cards. That's how we'd lived. And we learned how to sell on eBay. And it was like, oh, well, we can find crap to sell on eBay. This is way easier than trying to sell that blog nobody wanted. And then somebody was like, hey, come over to Amazon. And we were like, really? And we started selling heaters. It was like a record, like cold snap, and heaters were in high demand. So we were selling heaters like nobody's business. And it was like, oh my gosh, there are people actually wanting to buy products from us. It was just amazing, because after all that time, you start feeling like a loser, that nobody's going to buy anything no matter what you bring to the market.
That is so true.
And Amazon, they already have this beautiful whole marketplace of buyers looking for what you're offering. So it was the start for us. It was finally where we actually made money while we slept. We actually were learning while we were earning. And we were able to crawl our way out of that credit card debt. And as we did that, we're like, you know what? I bet there are other people out in the world who are like, hey, I am failing at this online internet business stuff. And we're like, we could help them. So we started selling courses. So yeah, that's kind of where it all started. And so then we've helped hundreds of people create really big incomes, surpass our incomes, Like one of our students last year, he bought a Tesla, but I am so like, whatever. He's showing off his watch. I'm like, I don't know what that is. It's not my strong suit, that kind of flashy stuff. But we've really helped people be able to stay home with their kids. We've helped people be able got forced into early retirement, create incomes. So we've been really, really blessed to do that. But what we were finding, at least me, is I was like, I'm not meant to just talk about tape and boxes and the packing materials and how you pack your stuff and get it to Amazon. I was like, there's got to be something else. And I was not super happy in what we were doing, even though we were helping people get results. And that's when, and we were also at the same time hitting financial goals that we'd never hit before. And it was a wake-up call to me that fulfillment doesn't mean success. Like, or you can be successful and unfulfilled. And I was like, but I want to be fulfilled. I want to enjoy my life, love it. Absolutely wake up just feeling grateful and excited about my days. And that's when I took a turn. So we still actually have the Amazon course business, but I have started doing, so it's the Happy AF. So Happy as Fuck course. I love it. It was 30 days. It was so amazing. It's still, you can take it anytime, but it was the first time I'd ever married my entrepreneurship, right, with this deep passion from within. This is what I'm meant to do on the earth. This is why I'm here. And so my message is always for entrepreneurs, for anyone, is if you're not enjoying your time, it's like choose it or change it. Always choose it or change it. There's always something else available to any one of us at any given time. So that's really how my journey has taken me. And it's fun because, right, there's other things out there working for me right now. And I get to be here with you. Like this online entrepreneur stuff is literally the best once you crack into the code, right?
Right. And that's that is the key right there. Once you crack into the code, because there's you can sit in the struggling to try to crack that for years and years and years and years. It can be frustrating. Yeah.
Absolutely. It was so frustrating for us. And then even every time we've changed, right? Every new thing we've done has had a whole new set of learning skills. Because, right, selling on Amazon is a little bit different than selling a course. And then selling a course on how to make money is different on selling a course about happiness. There are some similarities, right? But your audience is changing, really.
Yeah.
And actually, when you're talking about what you like to talk about is content, one of the biggest things. So I was sitting in the audience at a Russell Brunson event, and he's like, if you do 365 days of content, you go live 365 days. If you aren't successful, I don't remember how he said it. It was like, basically, if you weren't making a certain amount, he would personally coach you. And I was sitting there and I was like, okay, well, that's like a win-win across the board, right?
Right.
Totally doing that. So that day I started doing lives, and I did 300 lives in a row. I did not make it to 365. But one thing I realized that I was doing is I had created an audience that wanted me to talk about Amazon all the time. And then I was talking about mindset and happiness. And I started to feel like maybe I sucked at what I was doing. Maybe this wasn't my path. Maybe this was not the right thing because they weren't interested in what I was talking about. No one sat me down and was like, listen, if you have an audience here, they're not just automatically going to go, oh, yeah, let's check out this. They came for this, right? A few people will hop over, but not enough to make it feel like, oh, I'm gaining traction. This is great. You got to build an audience for every single thing you want to be talking about, very specific to that audience. Because that's why the Amazon thing was so easy, right? Because Amazon sellers are a specific person. If you want to learn how to sell use arbitrage to sell, that's even a more specific thing. So it was like very easy. We had a very direct message to our audience. So that was a big learning experience, 300 days of learning experience.
That's extensive. 300 days. I just that's tough work to do that. I did 100 days and I was like, this is insane, but it works.
No. And I love content, but I would say that would be the thing. Anybody who's really make sure that you're building your audience directly for what it is you're talking about. Yeah. Right? Because if I find unhappy people who want to be happy, they love to hear what I have to say. It makes a huge difference for them. If someone is like head down, I got to make money, I'll worry about the happiness some other day. They're not that interested. It's like, oh, okay, that's good. But that's not helping me in my goal right this minute.
Yeah. Well, that's totally legit and a great
point, I think, and kind of want to dive into that a little bit. Like, so since you have done, okay, I did this and then shift. Okay, now we're going to do this. That's working. Cool. Now shift. Because serial entrepreneurs, that's what we all do.
Yeah.
So like, what's aside from, okay, I need to tailor the content to the audience. What are some of the other things that you saw? Because it's sort of like you're starting over, but not.
Yeah, you're starting over, but like, depending on how big your original audience is, it's like you're taking maybe an eighth of that audience, depending on how close you are. It can't even be half if you're close, right? But you're not, that full audience isn't coming with you, no matter who you are. I don't know anybody who jumps big amounts, and because they want this goal, and you're talking about this goal now. So I would say for me, one of the keys was to learn how to build an audience for whatever it is you're talking about, and to have the faith that those people, those customers are out there, no matter your price point, no matter what you're talking about. So again, one of the things that was super useful for me is sitting in an audience, people were presenting, I think it was Russell Brunson again. And he was talking about that there was a guy who did $28,000 through his Bigfoot funnel. And I'm sitting in the audience going, and I don't think I can sell a happiness course. People want to be happy. That's a real thing. Bigfoot's fake.
Like, like Bigfoot, the actual Sasquatch, like,
yes.
How do I not remember that topic? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe he stepped out, but yeah, when he said that there was customers all over, no matter who you were talking to, he's like, this guy did $28,000 through his Bigfoot funnel. And it was like in 60 days. It wasn't like a long time. And I was like, whoa. So I guess for me, it was getting my belief, right? Because I knew people wanted to make money. If you've been in any one industry for a long time, you know the ins and the outs of it. You know how to speak about it in a way that people want to know more about what you're talking about. You understand how to craft your messages so people are like, hey, that's me, I want that. But when you jump to a new thing, you don't know what's going to hit, right? You might have this whole big idea that this is what everybody wants. I even have a story about that. So
stories, yes.
I did this 5-day free challenge, and it was get on camera. And everybody, and I don't mean like every single woman who came through there, she said that she wanted confidence. Every single one.
Wow.
So you know what I did? I put together a whole course on confidence, and that's what I sold at the end. And you know what happened? Not one person purchased it. And I was like, what happened? And two things. Okay. So I didn't really understand my audience well enough. So sometimes when people say they want confidence, they do want it, but they aren't necessarily willing to get out their money to get it, right? They want the thing that confidence gives them. So what does confidence give them? It gives them this life that they think that this confident person would have, the great relationship, the great business, the great boundaries that allow these wonderful relationships to blossom and support them. So my messaging was off, right? I didn't take it that next step. But then even bigger than that, one of my coaches, she's like, your price point is probably a little high. I don't think any of these women are confident enough to spend that much money on themselves. I was like, oh my gosh, why did I never think of that? Right? Because they wouldn't even spend that amount of money on themselves right through that. Like, again, if you package it in a way that it's absolutely what they want, then you have a shot. But I was just packaging it as, you want confidence? I can help you get that.
Right. Confidence in a
so flopped. Yeah. So for me, that was really useful because I understood a whole new layer of this audience, right? Because the money-making audience they didn't like bat an eye. You have a $997 course. You're like, okay, no big deal, right? Because what you're talking about is, at least for us, is in our course, and people, making $6,000, $10,000 a month repetitively. And you're like, well, would I pay $1,000 to learn how to make $6,000 repetitively? Yeah, I think I would. Do you know what I mean? Right. But it's a whole other market. And so I would say anybody who's a serial entrepreneur who's switching, give yourself that time to then now understand really what the new people in your market are wanting, what is the most important to them, what kind of price points they're really going to jump at, and the things that are like going to move them to action, right? Because somebody who wants to make money is a little bit different than somebody who's feeling not confident, unhappy. You're there, even though you learn the same thing, right? You definitely want to have a really powerful message, and you want to cater it very specifically to that person. But if the message is off at all, it's very hard. So give yourself that time to start experimenting, failing, trying. Because, right, I was like, well, of course I can do this. I've been doing this for years now. And then when it flopped, it was like, oh, okay, maybe I'm not as hot shit as I thought. But it was good. I needed to learn the lesson, right?
Exactly. Like I love / hate those moments because it's like, oh yeah, I got this. And nope, I don't. Okay. Yeah. What do I get to learn? Yeah. So, okay. So did you develop a kind of process, whether it's external or even internal, of like, these are the steps that I know I need to go through so that I'm covering my bases as good as I can?
Yes. So I get really, really clear on my hook and then my who, and make sure that they match exactly. So, right, like if you are going to be talking to people about how to organize their closets, you need to know who you're going to be talking to. Now, I don't mean all the way down to Sally, who has 2.5 kids. I don't do that. I don't believe in that whole custom avatar stuff. But I do believe that what you need is to know what their problem is and be really clear how you can solve it. Mm-hmm. Right. So with the happiness stuff, I started to get clear on, I'm looking for people who are unhappy, who want to be happy. That's all. There's not even any more to it. Like, that's all. That's the market. Because I don't want unhappy people who want to stay unhappy. That's going to be a really hard sell.
Right.
Right. But if you have people who are ready, they're looking to be happy. Those are the people that I want to help because I can. Right. Mm-hmm. And so for me, making sure my message and my hook, my who really, really, really match, that changed things. Like even pulling it back and understanding who I was targeting with my ads, understand who I'm targeting with each post I do. And then the other thing I would say, I absolutely mix in a whole bunch of myself all the time in my public persona, all the time. And my public persona really is who I am in life. But like I'm saying the thing that everybody sees, right, on my page. And at first I felt like, ooh, this isn't going to be professional, right? Because I'm talking about this subject or this one, or I'm using emojis, or I'm using memes. But I love memes. I think they're hilarious. Like I scroll through and laugh all the time. Like, so it fit me, and it actually helps because then the people that I'm drawing in are really cool with me. They're okay with who I am, right? Because I'm not a fancy kind of gal. I'm not one of those people who has the flat lays, who can take those beautiful picture spreads. My pictures are always like, stuff like that. Right? Because that's who I am. And if the doorbell rings and the dog barks, I don't want people to be like, oh, this course is no good, right? Because I'm a real person. So the more real I am, the more I get people who are like, yeah, I dig you just like you are.
Yeah, that is such a great point. Oh, I love that. It's just really the authenticity. I mean, and like I talk a lot about making sure that you're putting your authenticity into your story and into your messaging when you're actually crafting a video or you're writing stuff or things like that. But to your point of taking it even the next step further and say, like, this is how I communicate with my friends, through emojis or through memes or crazy pictures, and share those. Yeah, that's like another way of being super personal. I love it.
Yeah. Well, and I found what was happening sometimes with some of the other things I've done is I would spend all this time building, right? All this time creating the content, the free stuff, and then the sales stuff. And then I kind of hated some of my customers. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to deal with this person ever. And the more I'm just totally me, the people who I wouldn't like, they just repel themselves. Like, I don't have to try. I'm not trying to get people to go away from me. I'm just being super me. And then the cool thing is the people who do come in, they really like you. They're impressed with what you're doing. You don't have as many complaints because they knew what they were signing up for, because you're just like out there. This is who I am. The more people do that in business, I think, because it never feels good to pretend. It never feels good, to have this like other thing that isn't you. So I used to teach. I used to coach a long time ago in this Amazon group, and they were really Christian. So we couldn't swear. And oh my gosh, when I get coaching, it would be like, it was literally painful for me not to be able to swear. And I was like, okay, I've got to be able to make money and still swear.
Hence the new course.
Yes. I mean, happy as fuck. There you go.
There you go.
And people are really clear about it. Like, it immediately repels the wrong people and attracts the right people. Because if I had to try to craft my message in a not in your face, edgy kind of way, it would just kill the message, and it would be so not fun for me. And like, I want to show up and enjoy what I'm doing. If I'm going to do it, I do it well. I don't understand people who are like, oh, it's just going to suck for how. I'm like, no, I don't want it to suck at all. Right. So choose it or change it. Always.
I love it. Choose it or change it. Always. There you go. That's the sign that you need behind you.
I know. Oh, yes. So I could do it. Like, if I could find a really good tagger, I think that would be cool. Choose it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. All right. So let's talk a little bit about you've kind of touched on it, but just some tactical steps. Cause I know, like, even though that's not where we should be focusing, but everybody kind of always goes like right to what is the tactical stuff. So like, in terms of how you are finding people, bringing them in, communicating with them, how, like, what are some of the tools and methods that you're using there?
Yeah. I love that everybody always wants the tactics. Always. And some of my favorite is after people get the tactics. So we've taught courses to hundreds of people now, and maybe even we've taught past 1,000. I'd have to look. But some people will come in and it's like they get the same information. They have the same amount of time, everything. One person takes off and one person doesn't. Is totally mindset 100% of the time. It's never anything else, right?
Nothing to do with the tactic. But see, that's why we started with like, just slide some of that stuff in, right?
No. And I would say too, like, literally, if you catch yourself, any one of us, always looking for the secret thing, the next tactic, this is going to be the thing that will, please just stop, take some breaths, because honestly, you can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on the next secret at all times, anytime, because there's tons of people out there with the messaging that can hook you, can hit you. But if you aren't willing to utilize these things, that was one of the things, is like, I got a whole bunch of information. Then I was like, okay, I've got to quit getting any more information until I actually take the steps of doing these things. Because if I continue to just get more information, I'm going to continue to just kind of spin my wheels. So I would say, actually leading into tactics, that's one of the best things I can say, is take action, imperfect action.
Yes.
Whatever you're feeling, like if you're like, I want to do a post today, I would like to email people, I would like to, whatever it is, just do it, right? I mean, it doesn't need to be perfect. Don't wait until you have your product exactly right, or none of that. Just take the action, because the action is where we learn, right? To me, like, the more action we take, the faster we learn, the faster we have those experiences, whether it was a failure, whether it was good or not. If you just sit and think about it all the time. I'm in a group, like a business group, and there's a woman, she posts in there occasionally about her coaching business. And at first I was like, oh, cool. And then 2 years later, I realized she actually still has not coached a single person. Okay. 2 years. She's stuck in this analysis paralysis kind of, well, what about when this happens? Or if I do that, what would you guys suggest if this happens? And at first I thought she was actually putting out real things that were happening. And then I realized about a year ago, these are all made up scenarios that she wants to know the answer to absolutely everything that could possibly happen. Yeah. So overthinking kills entrepreneurs. So first thing I would say, put some stuff in place to stop overthinking, because if you get stuck in that loop, and we all do. So this is what I do. If I have a goal, I'm moving towards it, and I start catching my energy kind of going sideways, my actions going sideways, like they're not forwarding where I want to go. It's more like sideways. I know I'm overthinking it, and I need to just take the actions that will get me to my forward steps. So I would say lay out your steps really clearly. Like if you know that you need to get an opt-in or a freebie out there, get your freebie out there, get your opt-in going, start sending traffic to it. Yeah. Like it's not a hard thing. None of this is hard, but we tend to make it hard. I totally have. I absolutely have. Oh my gosh. Found every pitfall I could find and dove into it. Right.
Me too.
Yeah. So I would say, for real, take the action, if you catch yourself now overthinking, start forward moving. So if you have a plan laid out of literally what needs to happen to forward your business to the next thing. So currently I am actually moving platforms, which is kind of a sideways motion. However, my ads that I'm running to bring people to me it's not going all the way to my autoresponder. I don't know how advanced your people are. So I'm having a breakdown and I'm losing about half of my leads. So for me to get to that next step, I need to be in a system that is fully working and operational.
Right.
So I have all these goals all the time, right? Once that happens, then I'm actually launching a summit, right? So that's how, and I know my forward motion goals. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm going to be promoting. And I also allow for like inspiration, things to come up and everything, but those forward motions are the most critical thing. So I would say, as far as getting traffic, make sure that you are very clear on who they are, first of all, so you know where to find them, right? Because whether it's an ad or organic, you need to know where to find them. If you're just in a bunch of entrepreneur groups and your person is not an entrepreneur and all your friends are entrepreneurs, it's going to be a really rough go, because you might have entrepreneurs clapping for you. Good job. That was good. That's great. They're not going to buy your stuff.
Right.
Unless it's for entrepreneurs.
Right.
So I'd say get clear on who it is and then start building that audience. What do they already want? And give it to them. Give it to them for free. Give them some value. Give them what they are looking for, right? I think that it can be so simple, because then once you do that, you become known for, oh, she helps this person do this, or he helps, and that's it. And once you get known for it, then guess what? It's so easy to launch products and things. And this would be the other thing I would say is stick. It's not that you can't kind of branch around, but when you've built this audience, stick with what the audience wants.
Right.
So like for me, I think around happiness, right? So there's happiness, but then there's happy in relationship. There's happy in family. There's happy in your business or your work. So there's all kinds of things, right? And that still all falls under the happiness umbrella. But then if I all of a sudden wanted to start talking about knitting, there might be some knitters in my happiness circle, but I'm going to have to build a whole new audience of knitters.
Right.
And I don't knit. I don't exactly know where that came from, but I wanted it to be very clear. And really then you just continue to create content for the person that you want to pay you. So here's another little tip I'll give you. When you're out there creating content, you're going to get people who are kind of freebie seekers. Sometimes you get people who are kind of argumentative. Sometimes you run into actual just total dickheads. It happens. Do not put your energy and focus on any of those people. You want to put all of your energy and focus into people who will pay you, or people who have paid you, and other people like them.
Yeah.
That's it. Because sometimes the loudest voices are not the paying people. Almost never.
So true. Yeah.
People pay, they use their voice by giving you their credit card. But a lot of times you get loud complainers. Oh my gosh. I had this one woman, she's like, I love your energy healing that you did, but you shouldn't swear. I mean, an energy healer and swear, they don't match at all. And I'm like, but that's me. It's fully me. So what did I do? Did I stop? Did I pull back? Did I ship? No, I did a whole entire video about this is who I am. And I say fuck a lot, and I can heal energy, and I do all this stuff. And then guess what happened? The people who were interested in what I actually was offering, they got closer to me. And then the people who were like, yeah, I really do wish you'd be a little bit more ladylike. I don't really like to hear the F word so much. They moved on, which is actually good. If you're trying to serve everybody, unless you're like McDonald's, it's not going to be that fun for you.
Right. And nobody wants to be McDonald's because you. Oh, great advice.
Thanks. Well, I think that's one of the things as entrepreneurs, I always catch, it's like you'll find people and they're like, yeah, I'm working 80 hours a week. And I'm like, so just so you know, you set your own schedule, right?
Right.
You don't work for a boss anymore. You're the boss. You want to take 2 p.m. naps every day, just schedule that shit in. So another thing is we're building in our audience as we're doing our content. If you at all find that you're like, oh, I don't like these people, I don't want to, if you continue to build it for the money, which I've totally done that in the past, it doesn't lead to the path of fulfillment. It doesn't lead to the path where you love your business. You actually start actively avoiding it, trying to not do it, which then causes this whole other thing. Like, so really, really, I would say get clear on who you want to be helping, who you want to be talking to, and who you would enjoy, who you would be willing to give a puppy to, who you'd want to go have some beers with, right? So I don't drink beer, but like drinks with, right? Those are good questions for your customers. Like, who is that, right? Do you want to have people who are your customers who you wouldn't trust giving a puppy to? Right? Because you're never going to want to meet those people in person, right? You're going to want to hide your address really carefully, guard it, be like, where
live
are you
events
from?
out.
Southwest. I'm from the Southwest. Because these are kind of, your customers become part of the fabric of your life, especially if you're serving people on a more intense level, as far as like done for yous, or more of a coaching relationship. And it really matters. One person can make it so that you hate your life, but you're still always right. Choose or change it. I have fired people. They pay me, but I'm like, nope, we're done. Sorry.
Yep.
You can have your money back and I'm going to go this way. Right. Because my peace and how I feel is more important, right? Because we're not just here to be entrepreneurs. Whether you have a partner, family, friends, whatever, like you want to show up for the other people that you love in your life, right? Not just the people who pay you.
Absolutely. Mic drop. We're done. No, it's such great advice. I mean, it is like, I mean, I've fallen into it myself as well. We've even talked about that. Like, you set your own schedule, and here I am working myself to the bone. It's like, oh, that's not what I want. Okay, I can change it. There you go.
Absolutely. And the cool thing is once you actually start looking into how could I, right? Like, it's just a question. How could I stop working 80-hour weeks? How could I still earn what I'm earning, but do it in 40-hour weeks, 20-hour weeks, 4-hour weeks? What would be possible? Those kinds of questions lead to amazing breakthroughs, right? Someone showing up who then handles a big chunk of your business, who does it better than you did, right? Because that happens for sure.
Yeah.
We are jacks of all trades as entrepreneurs, right? Because we need to be. Yep. But at a certain point, it's better to have someone else do it. They'll do it even better than you would.
So true. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, I'm just like at a total loss for words. Actually, one of the questions that we kind of talked about before we started here, but this is along the same lines probably, but like, what is one of the most surprising things that you never expected to happen to you personally that has happened since you started your business?
I would say overall, the biggest surprise over the whole entire time was what entrepreneurship and what creating a business has done for my marriage. I truly think that is truly the biggest blessing. At times, it has felt like the biggest curse, right? It's definitely put so much more pressure because we actually work in our business together for the most part. Like our Amazon business is together. The happiness stuff is just me, right? So there's this how to make all this stuff work together. And for me, the thing that was the most surprising was starting to learn how to allow somebody else to show up and do the things and kind of take care of things, right? Because I was always the doer and but you get burned out when you're not supported at any level. So entrepreneurship has taught me how to be supported. It's taught me how to allow really someone else to super shine in what they do, and that the way that they do it different than me is okay. I would say that's really the biggest, what it's done for our relationship, because I had no idea when we first started. And literally when we first started, oh my God, we would fight over everything. Where the lights were, where the camera needed to be, the posing, how far the stools were from the backdrop. Literally during a shoot, it was like one family would leave, I would move the stools. I would turn around, come back, he would move the stools back. I would move the stools. It was this great big power struggle over these stupid stools the entire shoot. I mean, we fought about cords. This cord needs to be taped down. Now it'll be fine under the background. I mean, we fought about everything you could imagine. And the fact that we made it, right? The fact that we were able to muddle our way through that. And so I guess this is the other thing too, is then what marriage helped me to understand about entrepreneurship, or really anything. If I want to be successful in anything, I need to be committed, fully committed. not one foot out the door, not one, not wandering eye looking for something better, like that this is where I'm planting my flag and this is what I'm doing. Because the more that you do that in your business, with anybody you work with your partner, it just changes things. So
amazing. Yes. I love that. And it's so true. Like a lot of the lessons that my husband's always like, you turn everything into business. And I'm like, yeah, but I also turn everything personal into business, or business into personal. Like, it's the lessons that you learn apply everywhere.
For sure. Absolutely. And the more, like someone said, it's like the things you can do that like increase your breakthroughs, your growth the most is like owning a business, being in a relationship, and then parenting. Because those three things are it's like a crash course. And a lot of times you're like, what the fuck am I doing? Right. And I don't care how long you've been in entrepreneurship, it still happens. You're still hit a wall where you're like, I was not expecting this. I don't know what to do now. I guess one last thing I would really say about it is like, just know, no matter how perfect it looks, no matter who it is, no matter how much money they've made, they still have times where they're literally like, you're not alone. We all feel that way at given times. And then of course there are times where we're like, we're rocking it. It's amazing. This is great. Everything's going to be this way forever.
Yep. Until the next day when you're like,
yep.
And
you're like, I didn't think that would happen. Yeah.
Yes, legit. It happens to everyone. Literally everyone.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite things was Oprah Winfrey. She's interviewed all kinds of people, like really powerful, influential people. And she said almost every single one of them at the end of the interview turned to her and said, how was that? Was that okay? And I was like, whoa. So everybody has those moments, no matter who you are, right? I mean, she's famous people, rich, powerful, and yet they all wanted to make sure that they did an okay job, that she thought they'd done good.
That's awesome. That's incredible to really think about. Wow. All right. Cheri, if anybody wants to get involved in your world, where can we send them?
Yes. So you can go to fulfilledaf.com. That links you to all my stuff, anything you could want to do. I have a happiness quiz. If you are looking for your happiness persona, that is super fun. It has some really great tips, all free stuff, obviously. I would love to see anybody who wants to do that. And otherwise, like I said, that has a bunch of links. You'll see.
Awesome. Thank you so, so much. And you guys make sure that you check out the Content Toolbox resource area, and we will work with Cheri behind the scenes and see if there's anything that she wants to add into there as well, because we've got some awesome resources in there. So make sure you get signed up for that. And Cheri, thank you so much for taking the time to spend with us here today. And God, what a great conversation. I just love doing these.
Thanks for having me. I had a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And we will see you guys on the next episode.